Welcome to Chair Clerk Training. After you view this training, be sure to print off a copy of the Hearing Committee Chair Clerk Manual that is found on the Texas Youth and Government website. Opening up a committee. First, take attendance. Any delegate not present should be placed at the bottom of the docket, as they may arrive later. If a delegate asked to be put at the top of the docket, as they were approved to leave early, that is fine. The chair and the clerk should be at the bottom of the docket, and if time runs out, they may not be able to present their bill. Set and post the docket in the front of the room. Be sure to mark off the bills on the docket as you go. This helps evaluators, section leaders, and delegates know which bill is coming up and how many bills are left. At the state conference, please look at the Senate bills in your committee. Putting a strong Senate bill at the beginning of the committee helps the Lieutenant Governor when selecting bills, as the first bills out of committee are considered for floor debate. Call your meeting to order. Introduce yourself, your clerk, your evaluator. Take a good look around the room. If there are seems like there are many new delegates, you may want to do a warm-up bill, but it's only at district and only if you think you will have enough time. Count the delegates in your committee and look at the schedule. Do this throughout the day with the remaining bills and time left in the committee. If you need to change the timing, it is more equitable to do it sooner so that all delegates have about the same amount of time to present their bill. The clerk may use their phone to keep time, or they may have used stopwatches that are in the packet, but usually the clerks like to use their phones. Ask the delegates to refer to you as Honorable Chair, and you will refer to them as Delegate and will use the gavel to point to them. For example, for what purpose does the delegate rise? Bill resolution. The chair announces the pro-con slips are due at the end of the question answer period, but they can be turned in as soon as the caption is read. The chair asks the clerk to read the bill author's name and the caption of the bill. The exact verbiage, including the script, is found on the website below. The chairperson and clerk manual on the Texas Youth and Government website will have this script. This is the quick form with all the timings and the order for a committee. The clerk will announce all the timings for each speaker. All remaining time should be yielded to the chair. This form is good to have with you. If the delegate does not yield the remaining time to the chair, say, by their actions, they have yielded the remaining time to the chair. The bill author will have their opening remarks of 3 minutes. There will be a 7-minute question and answer period during which each delegate who likes to ask a question will have up to a minute. They do not have to use their entire minute. They can yield the remaining time to the chair. Each delegate has 1 minute, one time to stand up and question the bill author during that bill. Check the hearing committee timing sheet to see if these times have been updated since this video has been made. Use your gavel to point to the delegate to ask a question. Please encourage participation. Sometimes you may only have 2 or 3 people in your committee that want to ask questions. If that happens and your committee is running on time or ahead, you can allow delegates who have already asked questions to ask another. For example, is there anyone who has not questioned the bill author and would like to ask a question at this time? Seeing as there are none, is there anyone who has asked a question and would like to ask an additional question? If new delegates are unsure how to ask a question, please help them by trying them try again if they're not asking in the proper manner. After the question and answer period is the proponent-opponent debate period. The chair announces amendment slips are due at the end of the pro-con debate period. When the delegates turn in their slip, there's going to be 1 pile for opponent and 1 pile for proponent. Those slips will be shuffled and have 3 proponent slips picked and 3 opponent slips picked. The 3 proponents will go first, followed by the 3 opponents. Each speaker will have 90 seconds and questions may be asked of the current speaker if the speaker allows it. If there are no opponents, that's okay. The chair should ask if there's anyone willing to speak in opposition of this bill. If no one is willing to speak in opposition, that's fine. Move on to your amendment period. If you start to roll low on pro-con slips, have the delegates reuse them, using 1 for pro and 1 for con. The clerk will shuffle the amendment slips and selects 2. The clerk will read the amendment author name and the amendment. The author will come forward and has 60 seconds to speak on their amendment. The bill author will then be asked if they agree with the amendment. If the bill author does not agree with the amendment, they will have 60 seconds to dispute this amendment. If the bill author agrees with the amendment, the chair will ask if anyone would like to speak in opposition of the amendment for 60 seconds. The amendment author will have 60 seconds to close debate then the amendment will be voted upon to be adopted, not passed, but adopted. Clerks, any amendments that are not passed or not adopted, please do not attach them to the bill. The bill author will come forward to do a 90-second summation. At the end of the summation, if the bill author does not make a motion for favorable recommendation for House and Senate action of their bill, and no one stands up to make a motion, the chair will ask for a motion for favorable recommendation. If there are any amendments, be sure to include as amended. This will be an oral vote, ayes for yes, nays for no. If the chair is in doubt, meaning both ayes and nays sound similar, a standing vote should be taken, and the chair and the clerk will count votes. If there's a tie, the chair casts the final vote. Someone in the committee may also call for division between the two gavel strikes if they don't think there was enough difference between the ayes and the nays. It is up to the chair to acknowledge division and conduct a standing vote. If the result was clear, do not recognize the division. Setting the bill docket is one of the powers of the chair, but recognizing motions and points of order are other powers. With motions, always be sure to ask the delegate to state the nature of the motion prior to stating the motion itself. These must match. For example, if the nature of the motion is concerning favorable recommendation of this bill, the motion cannot be, I move to adjourn for lunch. For motions to include all remaining bills, they must be made in between bills. If they are made during a bill, it applies to that bill only. Motions need to be seconded and voted upon. The number of seconds and percentage vote depends on the motion. So you can refer to this motion chart for each motion. If the motion is debatable, such as I move for previous question is a debatable motion, 2-minute pro speech and 2-minute con speech will be allowed. Common motions are favorable recommendation, which we've already talked about, previous question. This stops all debate and goes straight to the bill author's closing summation, then vote. This is more common in floor debate when the debate has becoming redundant. There needs to be 4 seconds and a majority vote. Suspension of rules. This would be an example of this would be changing the question answer period from 7 minutes to 5 minutes if your committee is running long. Remember, this needs to be done between bills for it to apply to the remaining bills. As a chair, you may ask for this motion to be made if your committee is running long. This requires 1 second and a 2/3 vote. Lay on the table. Sometimes a bill author has to step out to go to the restroom or whatever, and their bill is called up, and a delegate makes a motion to table the bill. Please do not let that happen. Tabling a bill kills the bill. What you want the motion to be is a table to subject to call. If a delegate tries to table a bill, ask them to try again, table subject to call. Then you can recall the bill up as soon as the bill author is present and the current bill is done. Points of order don't happen as often. An example would be a delegate did not state their name and delegation when they got to ask a question. This is a good teaching moment. Acknowledge the point of order, ask the delegate to sit down and stand up and ask the question again. A sign of a good chair is being encouraging and helpful. You do not have to recognize motions and you do not have to recognize points of order. That is the power of the chair. You do need to recognize points of inquiry as these refer to procedure. For example, point of inquiry, I could not hear the speaker. Could they repeat their proponent speech? Tips, begin your committee as soon as possible, even if the evaluator isn't there. Sometimes we have a hard time tracking down evaluators, and we do not want you to lose any debate time. If the committee is running long, ask for a motion to suspend the committee rules to shorten the number of pro-cons statements, amendments, and question and answer time. All remaining time is to be yielded to the chair. If your timing is running fast, at the end of the day, just do some funny bills and see if any delegates have any questions or procedures. If you think it's going to run fast because you have a very small committee, consider doing a warm-up bill. Please do not release your committees at lunchtime or at the end of the day, or until a section leader or one of their representatives comes around and says you may be released. We have time scheduled for lunch, but sometimes there are issues. If you're on the second amendment for the bill and you get released for lunch, please finish the bill before going to lunch. Tell the section leaders which bills have been the best debated, so they may be used in joint session. Committee versus floor. We will talk more about this coming into state. There are different timings on parts of the bill, which you will see in the Speaker of the House, President Pro Tem manual, and it will give you all those timings. You don't need to go into that for district or committees at state, but it's something interesting to look at. With the floor debate, there are no limits on pros and cons or amendments unless there's been a suspension of chamber rules. And the biggest difference is that amendments are heard before the pro-con debate. When you get to the pro-con debate, those are now alternated in chambers, and you will always want to end on a con. Even if you have 3 pros and 1 con, you will still want to end up making sure that you end up on that con. When we get to state, you'll end up filling out bill jackets and bill journals, and we will go over that before state. But basically, they are a record of what has happened to the bill. Have there been amendments? Did the committee pass? Did it pass in the House? In the Senate? Was it signed by the governor? It keeps track of all that. The bill jacket follows the bill. The bill journal will be your personal log in case there's discrepancy. If you're running for Speaker of the House or President Pro Tem of any of the chambers, you need to sign up to be a chair at both district and state conferences, because we want to make sure anyone in those positions knows how to chair and will be able to run larger chambers. Remember, a good chair is helpful, yet maintains control of their committee. The adult in the room should not step in unless there's a question of safety. Good luck, have fun, great debate.